Hello everyone, this is my Mountain of Faith Lunatic 1cc with Reimu B. I think this game is considered one of the easier Touhou games to 1cc on Lunatic, and I did get it pretty quickly after I started seriously practicing, but this game actually feels pretty unforgiving compared to some of the other games I cleared on Lunatic like 7 and 8, Perfect Cherry Blossom, and Imperishable Night. If you're trying to get your first Touhou Lunatic 1cc, I probably recommend those over Mountain of Faith, just because they feel a little less punishing when it comes to making mistakes. The stages in this game on Lunatic are very heavy on memorizing enemy spawn locations and moving in specific patterns to avoid getting trapped by walls of bullets. That's true of pretty much every Touhou game on Lunatic, but the routing difficulty felt a little more pronounced here than 6, 7, or 8 to me. I don't know if I'm just imagining it, but it feels stricter somehow. The thing that really defines this game for me is the bomb system. In previous Touhou games, you had a limited number of bombs per life, and getting bomb pickups is a rare occurrence. In this game, bombing decreases your power level by 1, and you can bomb as long as you have at least 1 power. Since you get power items all the time, you can really go ham with bombing in this game. But you have to be careful because having low power will make stages and bosses more difficult. It really changes how you think about managing your bombs as a resource. I usually use 2 or 3 bombs on this boss. It's safer to use 3, but sometimes I skip one depending on my mood, so this is the first stage. I always bomb her second non-spell attack, and I bomb one or both of her spell cards. Even though this is just the stage 1 boss, I actually find her pretty hard to beat without bombing or dying. On most bosses in the game, I aim to use 3 bombs at planned times. The exceptions are the stage 4 boss and the final boss, where I just try to minimize life loss. Enemies spawn from both sides here. Take out the ones on the right while moving downwards to avoid the aim shots from the left. For the next wave, you should wait in the center, but I forgot. After you take out the ones in the center, do tiny tap dodges along the bottom of the screen. This part is a bit difficult. I stay unfocused so that I take out enemies before they get close to me. Roughly every 2 bursts of bullets, I try to do a sharp tap dodge to the right. When these streams of pointy bullets appear, move sharply to the right to create a gap, then move back left. Rather than moving with a certain rhythm, I watch the circle bullets and try to avoid running into them. You'll die if you go too slow, and get trapped on the left if you go too fast, so it's pretty tough. Fortunately, it's safe to just bomb the mid-boss attack as you can get all your power back before the boss. This section isn't too dangerous, I usually just kind of improvise and try to grab as many power items as I can. Once fairies start spawning, stay high on the screen and take them out quickly to get their power items. After a wave from the right and a wave from the left, they spawn from both sides, and you want to try to end this third wave in the middle of the screen. You want to take this fairy out as quickly as possible before the smaller ones shoot too much stuff at you. Unfortunately, I wasn't centered enough and ended up getting trapped and having to waste a bomb. Not having full power makes the boss slightly more dangerous, but it's not too big of a deal. For this boss, I want to do her non-spells without dying or bombing, and use 1 bomb on each of her spell cards. Generally, I have a pretty rigid plan for how I approach each boss in this game. There are specific attacks I bomb on every time, and I have to try to dodge every other attack without bombing. It's pretty different from previous Touhous on Lunatic, where deciding where to bomb was more about gauging how well you're doing and pressing your luck. I can dodge these last 2 attacks without bombing sometimes, but there's not much reason to do so if you're not playing for score, because you can just get your power back in the next stage. I actually go for it on the last attack though, because being at 1 power instead of 2 makes the start of the next stage harder. Unfortunately, I did end up getting a little scared and bombing. Start at the right to take out the 3 enemies that appear there, and then cut left to take out everything else. After this intro, fairies will spawn on the left and right. I like to take the 2 big ones out, and then hang out on the right for most of the next wave. I find it's better to stay on one side here because stuff only keeps spawning in on both sides, although I got pushed a little towards the center here. When these fairies come in, position yourself underneath them. Then you want to micro-dodge to the right extremely slowly. If you do a tap every time a bullet passes you, it's actually too fast. I don't have an exact tell for it, but you want to go really slowly here or you'll run into something on your right. Take some practice. This should put you in position to take out the 2 big fairies that spawn on the right. Then, if you position yourself a little better than I did there, you'll avoid the bullets coming from the left. I think I was a little bit too far downwards. Sweep across the screen to pick up some power-up items, and then use a bomb to take out the mid-boss safely. You can get your power back up to 5 by the end of the stage, so it's not really worth fighting her. In the second half of the stage, I think I kind of forgot what my route is supposed to be, so instead of talking about routing, I'll talk about how extra lives work in this. You get 4 extra lives based on score, and 2 extra life items, 1 dropped by the stage 3 mid-boss we just fought, and 1 dropped by the stage 5 mid-boss. The last score-based extra life is at 150 million points, which you'll typically reach without trouble by the end of a Lunatic run, so I didn't really bother to learn the scoring mechanics for this run. Normally I would try to avoid using a bomb here so I can go into the boss with 5 power, but I got trapped behind a wall of bullets there. Once again, my strategy for this boss is very rigid. I try to do all the non-spell attacks without bombing or dying, and I bomb all of the spell cards. I'm not really good at any of her spell cards. Fortunately, her non-spells are not that bad. They're very fast, but once you get used to them, it's just moving back and forth between these lanes. This attack, I think I actually tried to dodge it for a bit, just to see if I could save some power for stage 4, but I failed. And this one, I just don't really know how to do this without bombing. Just bomb. And you win. This stage is hard, and the boss is very hard. And this part is actually pretty hard. Like, it looks like I'm just moving left slowly, but my timing and positioning for that are actually pretty specific. Now, this section, I can dodge it sometimes by kind of like quickly misdirecting the bullets, but it's safer and easier to just bomb. For here, you just tap right, and that puts you in position to take out this fairy fairly quickly. Then here, this is just a lot of aimed bullets that you slowly maneuver around. Alright, this mini boss, just bomb. But actually, usually 1 bomb isn't enough to kill it right away. You will have to do a little bit of dodging after. Try to avoid using 2 bombs on it. Then you get another one of these impossible sections. What's interesting is that if you delay killing the mini-boss, you can actually skip this section, but I don't know whether this section or surviving against the mini-boss is harder. Here I get a little greedy and go for those point items, which almost gets me killed, but I managed to get in position to tap dodge those things. Then I get a little greedy again, but it pays off. I made it safely back down to the bottom of the screen. This part here I don't really know how to do safely without bombing. I mean, I guess you just dodge, but I actually ended up using 2 bombs here. I prefer to only use 1 if I can. And then here, you can bomb to get past this safely, but you will lose more power than you gain. So I actually took a risk and tried dodging it. If I died, it wouldn't have been that bad because I get some power back from the boss, but the risk, once again, paid off. And I have 3 power going into this boss. It's better to have 4, but 3 is not bad. So I always try to do this first attack without dying or bombing. But this is the one boss where I don't really have a plan other than that. I just improvise and try to stay alive, because pretty much every attack other than the first one is pretty dangerous. Sometimes I can do this one without bombing, but it's definitely not consistent for me. This attack I pretty much always bomb on, and the thing is that 1 bomb is generally not enough to do it completely safely. Like, you do have to dodge a bit. So I dodge a bit. Fortunately, I made it out without dying. This attack, again, I think I managed to do it this time, but it can be dangerous too. And this one, this is another tough one because, again, it's pretty much I pretty much always bomb it, but 1 bomb might not keep me safe. In fact, here I didn't press bomb quickly enough and I took a death. Fortunately, I didn't use a death and a bomb. Then for this final attack, this is dodgeable once you get the idea behind it, but because I just took a death, I really don't want to take another one, so I just used 2 bombs. Fortunately, you don't need a lot of power going into the next stage. You can get some power back in the opening, and you don't need that much power to do the opening. For this part, I like to move at the exact point when I see the enemy's curve and change direction. I was a bit late and got a bit thrown off there, and that was kind of sketchy, but I managed to make it through without dying. Then you stay on the right and slowly move downwards. Now, for these parts where you have the big fairy shooting these lines of bullets with gaps in them, I didn't really come up with... There are a lot of sections like this in Stage 5. I didn't really come up with like a good, consistent route for any of them, really. I basically just improvise and bomb when I need to. I kind of routed it, but nothing that really like stuck in my head hard enough to execute in moments like this. Like here, for example, I usually just sway back and forth until it's time to bomb, and that gets me to the mid-boss. Now, for the mid-boss, you probably want to use a bomb here. For whatever reason, I didn't. I don't know, I just wanted the swag points. But fortunately, it worked out for me. And then again, you want to use a bomb here. Why am I trying to dodge this? There we go. So that gets you another extra life. And yeah, like this part for example, sometimes you can just like improvise and vibe and you'll get through it. And if you have to bomb, you have to bomb. You can often get back up to a good amount of power by the end boss. This part I find if you sort of move back and forth and try to take out the little fairies quickly, then you won't get trapped too much. And I actually almost got all the way back up to 5 power. For opener, you cut through this specific gap right here. You want to be aggressive about these expanding star attacks. Then this attack is a lot of fun. You kind of move around very quickly. Once again, the name of the game for this boss is bomb all the spell cards. Try not to bomb on the non-spells. Her second non-spell is probably the scariest. Probably the one I die on the most often, or I might use a bomb on it sometimes. But I managed to get it this time, I think. This attack is cool. It's probably the spell card I have the most chance of actually dodging without using a bomb, but it's still dangerous enough that it's worth using a bomb on. And then this is weirdly easy for this late in the game, just left and right, left and right, left and right. Now again, there's like that specific gap at the point of the star you want to dodge through, then just bomb. Then for this last attack, I think I tried dodging it a couple times, and it's like, it looks scarier than it actually is, but also, why not simply bomb? You can just skip it. Get your power back in stage 6. So for the opener, enemies spawn in the center, and then the left, and then on the right. So you can get a bit of power back there. Then for this part, these bullets are aimed and you can do very tight micro taps to avoid them. It's quite easy to make a mistake and die here. Here I just bomb, I don't know what's going on. Or these things spawn in. Then you got more micro tapping. But in the middle of the chaos, so I got a bit scared there, but yeah, in the middle of the chaos, this fairy shows up and starts spamming 360 random spam everywhere. So then you get a bunch of power back. I can't believe I got 4.95 going into the last boss. So, getting to the last boss with 5 lives, I was feeling pretty good, but as you'll see, things can go wrong pretty quickly. This first attack is very fast, I just bomb it. This one, I do not know how to do. Like, I guess you have to try to misdirect the bullets in a certain way, but I never figured it out. This one I can actually do. So, it's hard to explain, but you kind of like dash left and right, and after each red wave, you can usually sneak around the next blue wave. And yeah, the timing is very weird. It's very easy to get caught off guard by this. But once you get used to it, you can just do this forever. Now, this attack, I can actually dodge sometimes. You can see I have 4 out of 12 captures on it. But, yeah, I got a little scared there, and I bombed. This one is also not impossible, but I bombed right before getting it. And this one's cool. It usually gets overwhelming enough that I have to bomb at some point, but you like... Yeah, I like it. Just like the screen wrapping knives coming at you from both angles. Then we have one of these attacks. I always associate this with Lemelia because she has a really similar attack. I think a couple of Touhou final bosses have. Wow, I died here? Forgot about that. But yeah, basically, she like switches between 3 different attacks. 2 of them are just you tap dodge in one direction repeatedly, and then one of them actually requires you to pay attention. So in this case, it's the green one where you have to actually like pay attention and dodge, and the others you just tap. Yeah, Lemelia has a really similar attack to this. Now, things are looking pretty good, right? We got 4 lives on the second last attack. Still got some power left to bomb with. Oh, got hit, but it's not too bad. We got 3 lives and near full power going into the final attack. What could possibly go wrong? Well, first they taken bad death there. And then the thing about this attack is that your bombs don't really work, and she becomes invincible when you bomb. Like you all still become invincible when you bomb, but it doesn't clear as much of the screen, and she temporarily cannot take damage. And each time you bomb, you're losing a bit of power, so you're dealing less damage to her. So you're kind of like gradually getting weaker and more pathetic. And yeah, so now I'm down to 1 life. And even though her health bar is almost worn out, I'm doing less and less damage each time I bomb. Down to 0 bombs for this life. But fortunately she's almost dead, so I should be able to get her on this last life. 1 bomb. And there we go. 5 lives going into the fight. Down to 0 and 2 bombs left. Mostly because of that last attack. Amazing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next dream.